Oh, okay.
Good morning, everybody. I want to call to order the meeting of the City of Clovis Economic Incentive Board. Vicki, will you call the roll, please?
Raymond Mondragon,
Here.
Alan Kinlan,
Here. Here.
J.D. Gutierrez, Brett Johnson,
Present.
Gail Tarson,
Here.
George Jones,
Here.
Joseph Blaschke,
I'm here.
Kevin Cass, and Matthew Glenn.
Here.
We have a quorum. First order of business is we want to thank Justin Howalt for his years of leading this organization. So thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
And we're going to have election of a new chairperson and vice chairperson. I guess we'll stand for nominations.
Mr. Chairman
Yes, sir.
and members of the committee, I'd like to nominate Brett Johnson to be the chairman of the Economic Incentive Board.
We have a motion. Brett Johnson as chairperson.
I so second.
Second from Gail. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, congratulations, Brett. I've won elections and lost elections, and I prefer the winning elections. How about vice chairperson? Do I have any nominations for vice chairperson?
Mr. Chairman, I will nominate Raymond Mondragon.
Okay, I have a motion to nominate Raymond Mondragon as vice chairperson. A second?
Seconded.
Been moved and second. Said all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations.
And all abstain.
Mondragon.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have the minutes of the meeting, if everyone had a chance to look them over. Okay,
I move to approve.
have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Okay, we want to talk about discussion and action regarding Senate Bill 49 and changes to LEDA. Mayor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on winning your most recent election.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you as
Thank
well,
you.
Mr. Mondragon. Thank you for, in all joking aside, thank you for your leadership of the Economic Incentive Board, and thank you to each of you members. I am going to talk with you about Senate Bill 49 and Local Economic Development Act funding, the municipal LEDA, and what all of that means. And like they say in the military, bluff, bottom line up front, I am going to be asking for your support and in leading us to the place where our local ordinance will align with the now state statute. But before we did that, I did want to just once again say thank you for your service. I know some of you are attending, if I'm right, your first Economic Incentive Board meeting, having recently been appointed. And we appreciate each of you. And, you know, as I dreamed about what I would do as mayor, economic development is at the center of that, which means this board is at the center of that, because you're going to hear presentations on prospects who may be qualified to receive incentives and help with the work of economic development in our community, which is a very important role to play. So thank you for doing that. Economic development in the context of retail this morning. Retail, as you all know, is a significant economic driver in our community and others, but certainly in ours. It creates jobs and provides several very real employment opportunities to folks. It also is a major part of our gross receipts tax base. If you look at the monthly gross receipts reports, over and over again, retail is the leader in that by percentage. And so, playing to our strengths, we want to take care of retail, right? And maybe just as important as the first two reasons I've given you why retail is important to support is a community's retail offering is a major factor in the quality of life that's perceived by the citizens, right? And we want to work on quality of life issues as well. And so supporting retail is important for those reasons. And I know I've had the chance to talk with a lot of you, and I know a lot of you share the vision that I have for Clovis, and that is as a regional hub for many things. And I think that to do that, we lead with retail. And so, that was the push behind Senate Bill 49. I want to do the work of building up our retail offering for all of the reasons stated. And the motivation for doing that is the problem that exists is the hemorrhaging that takes place. We've now, with the help of retail strategies, been able to identify a trade area around our city, and we've also been able to quantify what's leaking because of gaps or holes in the retail offering, and it's approximately $460 million annually that leaves our trade area and is spent elsewhere. And so if jobs, GRT, and quality of life aren't enough motivation, I think trying to recapture some of that $462 million annually should be our motivation. Just imagine what a third of that or 50% of that would mean to our local economy in the way of jobs and quality of life. So that's the problem that exists, and that's the motive behind doing the work of having the state statute changed. So let me tell you a little bit about or basically in a nutshell, what Senate Bill 49 does is it amended and will take effect July 1st, the state statute that is the Local Economic Development Act, and it establishes that retail is in fact economic development, and that you can use the municipal LEDA dollars to support retail, both expansion and recruitment, as economic development. And that's exciting for a community like ours, because that gives us now a tool with which to do the work of filling those gaps and holes in our local offering. And doing so will improve quality of life, keep more money at home, and create more employment opportunities in our community. So I can be long-winded about that. I was thinking about it this morning. I think it was just about 1 year ago that we really started the hard work of Senate Bill 49 and started presenting that to first. I was asked from my position on the Governor's Mayor's Council, I was asked to present ideas for what would have been the special session in 2020, present ideas for economic development and economic recovery. And so that was the first run that I had at that. It didn't make it onto the call for that special session, but later now I'm running the risk of listing all of the people that supported us on this, and anytime you start listing people, you'll forget someone. But certainly we got the support of CIDC and the Chamber of Commerce, and having their support meant a lot, but practically it did a lot because they networked in the state, and we got the help and support of the chambers and economic development organizations around the state. I was able to network with mayors around the state, and eventually Senator Woods carried that in the Senate, and it was co-sponsored by several lawmakers, and then Representative Crowder and co-sponsors carried that in the House, and the bill passed. So with that, I'll stop and see if you have questions, and then I'll kind of wrap up by really what the ask is. Any questions?
Mayor, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, may I make a couple of remarks? Also, I serve as state president of New Mexico IDEA. The New Mexico Industrial Developers Organization supported the mayor's bill and Senate Bill 49. Chase Gentry also serves on that state committee. Also, the bill under Section 1, subsection M, removes the requirement that a business will not directly compete with an existing business that is in the municipality or engage in the sale of the same or similar goods or commodities at retail. Also, within the FIR meaning the fiscal impact report, basically states that Senate Bill 49 does not carry an appropriation with that. So it is unclear at this point of the fiscal implications of this bill, as the Economic Development Department has not had sufficient time to respond to the request, which they did respond and provided some remarks and comments on that bill, and they did support, the New Mexico Economic Development Department did support the bill on this issue. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very helpful to the communities. All the community members that I've spoken with that are EDOs, economic developers throughout the state, are pretty excited about this bill.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning those things, Mr. Vice Chairman. And, I would add, I think, the reason why they weren't able to determine the fiscal impact from the state's perspective is we're talking about the local LEDA.
Right.
We're talking about the local LEDA. And in fact, we actually met with John Clark and with Economic Development Department, and then circled back later through the governor's office, and were able to find out that of all of the LEDA bills that were before the legislature this past session, they stated that they liked ours the best. And so we had support from Economic Development Department as well as the administrative branch. Any other questions?
I just have a comment as well. So the rules are going to follow the same as our regular industrial to some degree? Because there's got to be some differences. And did I understand you, Raymond, that the part that's going to be different is that the competing part? So you might have a business access these funds that might have a competitor in the same community. Am I hearing that?
Yep. Yeah. So yes, what you've said is true. The big piece is that previously retail has been excluded. So when you read the Local Economic Development Act statute, it excludes retail. And so of course the ordinance that Clovis adopted does as well. And so the question that we will ask that I'm asking for you all to support, and ultimately we're going to ask the voters to support, is to simply align with the now state statute, and we would remove those exclusions within our local ordinance so that it just mirrors the now state statute. And you mentioned the non-compete clause. That's interesting. That came up. That was an important, or that was a significant piece of the original statute. And of course, that was a topic of debate and discussion all along the way. But ultimately, everyone decided and came down on that language was really not necessary because, one, it creates an impossible situation. Because if you're talking about that you can't support, so let's say that we had the opportunity to recruit and provide a modest incentive package to a large retailer, a large grocery and general merchandise retailer that would, keep a lot of money at home, create a bunch of jobs here, and do all of those things. But we run into the point eventually where, we can't support this, and we run the risk of losing them because now we're not offering them any kind of help to come in because, they sell T-shirts and so does, Walmart, which already exists in town. And Walmart is kind of the prime example. They sell almost everything. So you could use them as the reason why we have a situation where there's competition being created, right? And so ultimately, there was overwhelming support for this from lawmakers, even lawmakers that we had that discussion with in committees as I testified for this. They came down on, it does make sense. We need help, especially in the rural parts of the state. We need help building up the retail offering. It'll help local communities, and ultimately it'll help the state by keeping more money inside the state in a community like ours. So I hope that, does that answer that? And then, well, I'll let you answer. Does that answer that?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I wanted to
Yeah.
clarify, because that's what I
Yeah.
thought I understood. I just wanted to clarify, so yes, go on.
And then what I would say is, I talked about the importance of you as the Economic Incentive Board, because if we get this done and we are looking at projects and considering supporting those, that's going to come before you, right? And so we're going to have the opportunity to vet these projects, and to the extent that it is creating competition that would result in cannibalizing existing businesses in our town, I'm going to come and testify in front of this board and say, don't support it, right? Because we want to be able to use this tool to recruit those businesses, those types of businesses that we don't have enough of in Clovis, right? We're going to use gap and opportunity analysis to be our basis for supporting a project or not. I would fully anticipate, in fact, we already have, because the news of Senate Bill 49 is out there, we've already had people call me, and I think perhaps the economic development professionals, inquiring about that. I would expect we'll say no thank you to more than we would say, yes, we want to support you. Because the fact is, there's a lot of outside businesses that are interested in coming to Clovis, and they can put pencil to paper and see how they can come here and make it work. Another reality that exists is if you don't have something to offer, then you're cut out of the conversation early on. With retail strategies and with some of the leads that I've been able to come across just by making calls, early in the conversation is, well, do you offer any kind of incentives? And it's not, I'm only going to come if you offer incentives, okay? That's not what the outside businesses are saying. However, if the answer is no, well, then they do kind of direct their attention to places where there are incentives offered, right? And so that's why we want to do this. We want to do it to fill the gaps and the holes, not create competition that's going to be bad for existing businesses.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much,
yep.
Mayor, on that. And the reason for my question partially is I was approached by a fellow citizen about this, worried about us recruiting businesses where we maybe don't have a need, that we're already, I'll give an example, hardware. We have the Lowe's, we have Burns, we have the Freight Harbor, and so the specific mention was like, are we going to go out and recruit another one? We don't need another one. It's like, no, I don't believe that's what it is. So I just wanted to clarify, and thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. And in that case, if the opportunity gap analysis suggests that isn't a great need, and from memory it is not, if there were an outside company that wished to come here and set up shop and do, offer hardware, merchandise, and things like that, God bless them, and we would say, yeah, come on. But we wouldn't, with public dollars, incentivize that. We're going to incentivize those types of businesses that we need to bolster our local retail offering, and therefore bolster our GRT base and quality of life for our citizens.
Thank you for championing this, by the way.
And also to mention, Gail, originally, the Senate Bill 49 had a population, and so that gap was removed. So it's no longer a population gap. So in other words, smaller rural communities can compete with Class A counties for the LEDA incentive. So that'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how that's going to work.
Thank you, Ray.
And, I could talk about this all day, and you don't want me to do that because we all have other things to do today. But in doing this, I've forged relationships with mayors around the state. For example, Hobbs. I mean, they were so supportive of this, and they are, they will be, creating an ordinance there, and they will be incentivizing retail in Hobbs, New Mexico. And so, the bill was born in Clovis, and so we need it to work in Clovis too, because now we'll be competing against other New Mexico cities that will be using this as a tool to build out their retail offering.
And if I may, Mayor, Mr. Chairman, members of the EIB, the New Mexico Municipal League were firmly behind and in support of the bill also from June of last year through our New Mexico Municipal League Policy Committee meetings, through their annual conference and their resolutions committee. So there was unanimous support for it from all municipalities, understanding what the implications and ramifications of it was, if that helps. And AJ Forte, who's the new executive director for the league, he was with us throughout the whole piece, as was Jason Espinoza, and I have to hats off to Jason too. I know he's very involved with the New Mexico idea. He did a great job too. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
If not, I would move to approve.
Is that what we're
Well,
doing, or is that
yeah.
what you're looking for,
Yeah,
Mayor?
you know, I'm looking for support. I guess specifically, what we would need to do now is, this will need to go out to our voters, and rather than create a special election and go to the expense of doing that, we're just going to leverage the opportunity that we have to go onto the county ballot in November. And so between now and then, the state law goes into effect July 1. And so there will be a point, when the city commission needs to consider, and of course, we'd like your support and recommendation to do that. So that really is the ask, is that you would recommend that the city commission entertain an election resolution to exclude or to remove the retail exclusion language and amend our local ordinance, and that would be the question that goes on the ballot with the county election in November. And if someone would like to help me formulate a more concise motion that could be made and seconded and approved here this morning, I would welcome that help.
And
I would recommend, maybe, we will have to have an election resolution, so, trying to think of what the question may be. The question may be to allow the use of local LIDA dollars for retail purposes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be just to have ours align with the New Mexico state statute?
Right. Yeah. The action you take today, George or Mr. Jones, could be to recommend to the city commission that we take steps to have our local ordinance align with the state statute.
So there's language in the LIDA law, the state law, that says that since we passed our tax before 2008, I can't remember the exact date, that if you're going to use the local tax that was passed for retail, you have to go out for vote to the electorate to ask them for that, to use it for that purpose. So that language that Justin said aligns with what's in the statute, which will have to be on the ballot in order to allow, because of when we passed our tax back in 1999, year 2000, we passed ours. So that's the piece that's got to be, that's still in the law, even though they passed retail to be eligible. That piece has to go before the voters to be approved.
Correct.
You put that in a form of a motion,
I do.
Mr. Jones? Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do you want to read that to us exactly like you've?
So,
I don't have.
how about a move to approve to support changing the local LIDA funds to allow for retail?
Retail.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, and board members. Appreciate your support. Thanks for allowing me to be here today and take up so much of your time. And I look forward to moving forward with this new tool at some point and growing our retail offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Howalt, would you like to talk about your position here?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and congratulations to the new members of the board as well. So this last summer, Ms. Burrows and the mayor and myself attended a New Mexico economic, I guess it wasn't this summer, it was last summer. It's all running together. The New Mexico Basic Economic Development course, and as part of that, there was a lot of discussion around economic development strategies and the various theaters or the various markets in which you're trying to recruit. And so it had us start looking at our local ordinance and what we were trying to do and what our strategies were. And we thought, well, we've been doing good for a very long time underneath our ordinances, but what can we be doing better? I mean, to align with what the mayor has been talking about. And so we thought, well, we're not experts at this. It may be time that we bring in experts to help us look at what our economic strategies are, look at what type of implementation we can put in place to achieve those strategies, as well as to develop some sort of matrix to hold ourselves accountable, as well as hold our partners accountable that we hire to implement those plans. And so currently with the CIDC, we do have a contract in place. We have a contract in place that is basically, it's not performance-based, it's just a lump sum no matter what happens either way. And so what we'd like to do and what we have done is put some language in their contract that does have certain performance measures. We don't have those performance measures set up, and so what we've done in the interim is just continued on based off of that base amount that's available to them. And so in order to move this forward, we need to go ahead and get those strategies set up, that implementation set up, as well as the matrix from an accountability set up. And so we reached out to a company called Angelou Economics to put together a proposal for us. In the meantime, also Chase was working with a company called Orbis Advantage in order to put together a proposal for him as well. And so we actually met the other day, started looking at the proposals, and they're different. And so there is some things within them that are the same, but they're not necessarily aligned. And so what we thought we probably need to do is put together an RFP, a request for proposals, to go out and seek services to assist with this. And obviously then what we would do throughout that process is pull in all of our stakeholders. So that may be our ag community, that may be Cannon Air Force Base, that may be CCC. And how do we work together to develop these strategies and these theaters or these target industries that make sense for the city of Clovis. As you know, the Plateau and CIDC and the Chamber have been pushing and working really hard for our true gig community. And so, you know, that is definitely a component of what we want to accomplish and an industry that we want, industries we want to go after. What does that look like? It could be from a Cannon Air Force Base perspective. You know, we've got Raytheon out there, we've got Northrop Grumman, we've got all the big players out there. How do we tap into that and try to recruit those sectors into our community? They don't need to be headquartered here, but they could have satellite offices here that also support Cannon Air Force Base, which is obviously a large economic engine for us. And so it even leads into what the mayor was just talking about, what we were just discussing with Senate Bill 49. Once that is approved by our voters, how does that fit into our strategies overall and what our ordinances look like? And so that would be a component of what we're trying to accomplish by bringing a consultant on to guide us through this process. So really just wanted to discuss with you guys, get feedback from you. Going out to an RFP, anything over $60,000 for professional services, we have to go out to RFP for. Anything under $60,000, we don't. What we noticed, once again, when we were comparing the two, there's a price difference. Obviously, depending on how detailed you want to get, the level of detail you want to get, it could get more expensive. And so that's why we feel it's best to go out. We want to get a product that we're happy and can live with versus that's what we could afford. We would be using economic incentive funds to go out and do this, and so which is an allowable use. And so, like I said, I just wanted to kind of have a general discussion with the board and get a feel from you if y'all feel like this is a direction that we should start looking into. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, were you guys interviewed, I don't know if you're aware, SRI International has just recently been put on contract by the State Economic Development Department and by the state of New Mexico to create a statewide comprehensive economic strategy plan. Have you been contacted by?
No, we haven't. They're talking with COGS so far,
Yeah.
but I understand they talked with you last week or the week
Yes.
before, and so I think they'll be reaching out at some point.
Okay.
But there are lots and lots of groups that are out there that, you know, may be interested in responding to the RFP, and, you know, we would put a scope of work together that was really comprehensive, which will include, you know, a survey of the community, you know, how do you think we're doing on an economic development basis, you know, what do you want to see, that kind of thing. You know, we'd have the group come in and work with you guys at the EIB and other community leaders, and to formulate a good plan, a good solid strategic plan for implementation with them, and to look at all these different theatres and then rank them and move forward from there.
Okay. And the reason why I ask is, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, our staff was interviewed by these folks from SRI International. They're out of Washington, D.C., and they're the ones that are creating the state plan, because by statute, the state is required to create a state economic development strategy plan. So that's what they're doing statewide. And what they're doing is they're going around interviewing EDOs. I don't know, Chase, if they've talked to you yet.
Yeah, we've been in contact.
Okay. The other thing is, that's on the state component. Eastern Plains Council of Governments has a regional comprehensive economic development strategy plan already in place. That's coming up due now in 2022 to update that plan. And that regional plan is a 7-county plan, not just focused on the city of Clovis, but it's a 7-county plan. My question is, will your plan look at county-wide or just internally within the city?
And that's an interesting point that you bring up, and Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, that, yeah, the state's looking at the state. The COG is a 7-county-wide plan. Ours is specific to the city of Clovis in our area. And so where there may be some ties together and some partnering together, whereas we look at the state plans or we look at those 7-county plans and say, yeah, the state identified in eastern New Mexico a certain sector that could come into here. Well, hopefully our plan aligns with that as well. And so ours is definitely more specific to us, the city of Clovis, in our outline area.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, I mean, if we're going to do that this year, which we will, and then you're going to do the SEDS next year,
Yes.
then this should play into that quite well.
And the other issue I wanted to bring up, not issue, but the other, I think this is great, because these are the stars kind of coming together the way I see it, is EDA, the Economic Development Administration out of Austin, under the auspices of the Department of Commerce, has approved EPCOG to hire a VISTA volunteer to be paid. And there's interviews being conducted. We have applicants all the way as far as Oregon, from several other states. And their primary focus is to put together the comprehensive economic development strategy in the 7-county region. But I think that person would also serve as an important piece within the city of Clovis, because we already have our plan with detailed data and research of what is at Cannon Air Force Base, what's at Curry County, what's the dairy industry, the agriculture, cattle industry, and so forth. So please take a look at our plan as well, and it's got a lot of good information that would also help you. So, and I think this is a very good idea.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, the other thing I'd say is, as we've sat here and had a little bit of a conversation, we've mentioned SRI, we've mentioned Angelo Economics, we've mentioned Orbis, and so that's why I think it's important to not just focus on one, because there's probably several companies out there and firms that can meet our needs, and then through the RFP process, us selecting the best firm that's available out there that wants to work with the city of Clovis. And so, while yes, we could go directly to one, well, there may be 5 other firms out there that we don't know about that we're cutting out, giving them that opportunity.
And Angelo Economics, that company has a very good reputation. I know it very well.
We spoke with the State Economic Development Department, and that's where we've got that reference from.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I didn't know who to reach out to.
Mr.
That-
Chairman?
Yes.
Justin, what kind of prices have you gotten in so far from those 2 companies? Did they give you any quote at all?
Yeah, it was from 85,000 down to 40,000, 50,000.
Okay.
And so, but the scopes, when you start looking at the scopes, they vary.
Sure. But which is, I agree, I think it's something we need to go do. As we send out the RFP, we can always request them to look at the state and the county plans that are out there as well, to make sure that we align with them as best we can.
Certainly.
Okay,
Well, we'll start, it sounds like the direction is let's go towards an RFP, so we'll start drafting an RFP to put out.
okay. We don't need to do that as a motion.
No, sir, I was just trying to get y'all's feedback
Okay.
before I headed down a path that, then bring it to y'all, and y'all are like, there's no way.
No.
Thank you.
The more information, the better, for sure. All right, Chase Gentry, do you want to give us a report?
Are we gonna do the GIS planning deal?
Yes.
Okay. Over the last probably 8 years, we have developed a website, obviously with Clovis, Economic Development. We have a system in our website that's from GIS planning. It's called Zoom Prospector. We interconnect with the MLS system that's the state MLS system for Clovis and Curry County, Roosevelt County. And we pull all the commercial listings from the community into this system to use as a marketing tool for industry, and obviously it would be useful for retail. I know we've had and in that system, it pulls the MLS data for the building, but it also pulls in all of the census data and the employment data, and companies that are searching or consultants can come in and create a report on that actual location, and then pull all the data that they need to do their analysis for a location here in Clovis if they're looking to locate. So we use that as we respond to PROs to the State Economic Development Department. We use it when we get leads that we get direct leads, and use it in our responses. So we've and it goes into labor and obviously population and all of those pieces, and then it'll actually pull up and give you comparisons. You can compare Clovis to Roswell or Clovis to New York City and things. So it's really designed as a site consultant tool initially, because as they look at locations, a lot of times we don't hear from them till they've narrowed it down to an area. But if you make the information easy to access, you remain on the list to be considered, and then they potentially would locate in the community. So it's $12,600 is the cost of that. And I know you guys authorized it last year, and we're asking for that renewal for 21-22. We'd go into the next fiscal year budget to renew that service. And with that, I'd stand for questions. I do have a flyer here that I can send around.
I want to say that as my main focus is commercial real estate, and I really like this right here because we pick up people, we get people to look at our community that haven't asked us for anything. We just in their searching, we're going to get a heads up on the competition that doesn't have it, because it's right there and it tells them what they need to know.
Chase, Mr. Chairman, Chase, the New Mexico partnership, when they do a PRO to you, they're aware of this GIS that we have available to them as well, or in the site selectors?
The New Mexico partnership has changed their systems from what they previously have done. We're required to do a formatted system based upon their input. They're in the process right now of restructuring that whole system where we can do it electronically. We put in links to the sites using this, but and they're aware of it. But it's we used to could submit whatever we wanted, so we could submit a book and it's gotten a little bit more restrictive because they have 50, they might have 10 responses, and they all look different. So they're trying to they standardize across the board. But we do provide the links to get into it, and they won't let us provide the full report, but it's available through that link.
And do you have a way of keeping track of how many hits it's getting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how many hits it got last year?
I think there was. I don't know right off the top of my head. I did not look last night.
Okay. Thank you.
But Chase, you not only can see how many hits, but you can also see who.
There is, through this system, we can, if they haven't blocked their IP addresses, we can see,
Who's incorrect?
I mean, I've seen a couple of times where the city of Clovis has hit the website. It doesn't say who at the city of Clovis, it just shows cityofclovis.org, an IP address. So we don't necessarily know the name of the person, but we can see that they've entered into the system. Yeah.
It was me.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we continue to support this effort.
I have a motion to continue to support this effort. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second from Gail. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Howald, do you want to give us a financial report?
Certainly. In Fund 64, which is our Economic Development Fund, we currently have $3.272 million in the bank. Out of that, we have 1.359 in investments and 1.913 actually in the bank. The revenue earned in April was $69,000. Year-to-date actual is just a little bit over $1 million. On the expense side of things, in the month ending in April, we expended almost $25,000. And the actual expenditures year-to-date are $123,800. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I would just say, just a comment, I came here, it'll be 19 years in September. When I came here, we were collecting about $450,000 a year, and now we're over, I think, a little over $1 million during that time frame from the growth that's happened. So we have a lot more money to work with than we did a few years back.
Absolutely.
That's good. All right, my favorite part of the meeting. Chase, would you tell us what's going on?
We've been very busy. I know it's been a few months since we've all met, and some of you are new and haven't been in these meetings. But we've been we've had a lot of activity, renewable energy, a lot of activity trying to work on the Gigabit City. I think what I'll do, Rachel Forster's on the line, and she's going to provide you an update on Gig City Initiative and the remote worker program that we're working on. And Rachel, some of them haven't seen the whole information, so you might make sure that you kind of explain everything.
That sounds great. Can you guys hear me
Yes.
and see? Okay, awesome. Am I able to share my screen in a way you guys will be able to see it?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay, perfect. Let me grab that. So as Chase and Justin in one of his reports earlier mentioned, we've been working often on an initiative called the True Gig City Initiative. Hold on, sorry, it's not letting me share that one. A window, here we go. All right, let me know if you guys cannot see this. Okay, so the big picture of this initiative is to try to promote Eastern New Mexico as an ideal place for people who are and businesses who are looking for a more comfortable rural way of life with endless possibilities as it relates to connectivity and gigabit internet. So as you all know, Plateau offers some of the lowest pricing in the nation for gigabit internet, and that's relatively unusual for a rural community like Clovis and Portales and Eastern New Mexico in general. The Rural Broadband Association actually named Clovis a smart rural community last year, and that program celebrates the commitment of communities like community members and organizations like Plateau that are driving growth and creating opportunities surrounding this infrastructure. So CIDC has partnered with Plateau, the city of Clovis, and Andrea Korpening from Elite Business Performance on a number of different projects in support of this. One of them is we're calling it our Life in Clovis promotions. So in April, we released 2 new resources in support of the True Gig City initiative. The first is a promotional video that offers a glimpse of into our growing city and how we can provide a quality of life and desirable community along with that technology and fiber internet capabilities that the businesses and remote workers are needing. If we have some time, it's a couple of minutes long. Is it all right if I share that video with you all?
Yeah, I think that's fine, Rachel.
Perfect. I will share that real quick. Okay. Let me get it pulled up here. All right.
We can't hear the audio.
Yeah.
We definitely want to hear the audio.
Sorry about that.
Definitely.
I wonder if I can't get the audio to work. I wonder if I could send it to you guys.
Yeah, we can send a link out so y'all can see it. It's a really, really good video. It's initial video. We're looking at about, I think, 6 videos potentially, Rachel, is that correct? 4 to 6?
Right. So yeah, this one is just a general glimpse into life in Clovis in general, but we have around 6 others that'll go more in depth. So whether that's a video about education throughout the community or all of the new businesses that are popping up, lots of more specific information about the different aspects of life in Clovis.
Is that online now on YouTube?
Yes.
It is,
Okay.
and we've shared it to the Chamber's Facebook page, as well as we create the other aspect of that, those Life in Clovis promotions, is we have a new Life in Clovis Facebook page as well. So it's on there too. There are definitely options. If you're on YouTube, I think you just Google Clovis, New Mexico overview, and it should pop up that way.
I've seen it. I've seen it pop up a few times on my Facebook feed. It is an
good.
excellent video. It's an excellent, who did it? Who recorded it?
So Janine Fajardo is the Plateau marketing coordinator. She gathered a lot of the footage and then worked with us for the script. And thank you to Mayor Morris for doing the narration.
You're a wonderful orator.
So
It was
that's why you said
excellent.
we had to listen to it, huh?
Exactly. That's a huge part of it.
You want the volume up.
Hear enough already today.
Yes, we do.
But it's an excellent video.
It is. I hope you guys can watch it. It is a great glimpse of Clovis, and we're excited for the other ones too.
Yeah, it'll all tie back into, we're in the process of developing a website Clovis Remote, and it all ties back into that and then with the remote work that Rachel will go over, so it all kind of ties into that one initially.
The tourism, is it the tourism website?
It's a different website, yeah.
Right. This one will be more for people that are looking to relocate, so it'll have resources about the industrial park, the data center, information about how to get fiber internet. There will be a relocation guide. So, and this one won't be a full-blown website. It's just a kind of a landing page, so that if people are saying, oh, what's this, Life in Clovis, what's that like? There's just one landing page that'll be a really visually appealing, all in your face, that here are a bunch of different reasons why you might enjoy life in Clovis, and then it'll connect to all of the appropriate websites. So, and I know Chase mentioned that he has a printout of an article that we also did in support of this project. So the Eastern New Mexico University included an article in the most recent issue of their Green and Silver magazine. So that goes out to around 30,000 alumni and friends that will now get to hear about all of these different projects that are going into this promotion. So I don't know if Chase has already passed those out or not.
Yes.
And then moving right along, we've got, so like Chase mentioned, we are working with Andrea Corpening from Elite Business Performance to be able to offer a bunch of remote work resources to people and businesses that are already in town as well. So to create a stronger community for remote work for the people and the businesses that are already here. So we are going to be offering webinars, how-to videos, virtual networking events, and eventually a reverse job fair. So we've already had our first virtual co-working session and a coffee chat for remote workers. So basically that's a time for for people to come on and network. But then the co-working session is also to be, you go on and you chat for a few and get to know each other, but then it's a space where everyone can work and just really focus on being productive for about an hour or so. So those have been successful so far. In a week, on May 25th, we have our hiring remote workers webinar that we are offering for businesses to, can you guys see this one now that I swapped over to?
No.
We just see you.
Oh, sorry, let me see. I must have closed it. Struggling with technology this morning. All right, so we're gonna have this hiring remote workers webinar via Zoom. It's going to be for local businesses, and we're gonna be able to offer tips and tricks with some business experts and webinar panelists to determine how certain jobs or tasks could be done remotely. We're gonna go over the benefits and challenges of a hybrid working environment, the pros and cons of hiring employees versus independent contractors, and more. So we've got a great lineup there of panelists. So we hope our businesses will be able to join that. There's an online registration for businesses that are interested.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Can we use those live in Clovis videos? Can we attach those to our websites, our personal websites, or our business websites to
I don't see
promote
why
Clovis?
not. YouTube will allow you to to gather an embed code where you could then put that on your own website, and it would just link, when they click on it, it would still be attached to the YouTube page. So that would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for doing that. So the next, in addition to those resources, we just did a preliminary launch this past Friday of our new local kind of solo worker program that we're calling Clovis Remote. So some of you might have heard about that when we were looking into a program that had already existed in different communities. But this one will be, we're working with Andrea Corpening to, the goal of the program is to connect individuals to remote work opportunities, but then to also train them for those opportunities and to get them the certifications that they need to really be successful in the remote work industry. So right now we rolled it out on Friday, and we're starting right now just to offer it to Cannon Air Force Base, because obviously there's a really built-in community of people that are interested in this. And even since Friday, when we did the soft launch, I think we have 13 people already signed up. So we're really excited about that. And like I said, Andrea is going to create the program that's going to offer preparation, remote work certification, and placement assistance through virtual job fairs and employer outreach initiatives. So we are going to start with this pilot program for Cannon spouses, and then we are eventually going to open it up to the entire community, hopefully within the next few months or so. And we've already been working with the Hiring Our Heroes Professional Spouse Network and the Airman Family Readiness Center at Cannon, and they are working to spread the word and get people interested in this for us as well. So the main goal for the Clovis Remote program is that it's going to help put Clovis on the map as a location where we have top remote talent and great fiber internet. So those are the main updates we have right now for TrueGig. Are there any more questions, or I can pass it back to Chase?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
thank you, Rachel. It's a fantastic presentation. I think that what TrueGig has done is focusing in the exact right spot and connecting the right resources that are here to try to get the right talent to Clovis. I think it's absolutely commendable what you guys are doing. As an economic incentive board, is there something that we can do within our scope to help? For example, in the state of West Virginia, there's 3 different towns that are offering relocation packets from $10,000 to $15,000 to remote workers to move to the area and buy a home and settle there. In the state of Maine, similar offers up to nearly $20,000. The state of Alaska, city of Baltimore, city of Tulsa. There's an entire region around northwest Arkansas where, like Bentonville, Fayetteville area, where they've come together as a multi-county area. The goal is to say we want people to move here and settle here and be here. And I think you guys are doing a fabulous job of marketing it and putting the pieces together and getting the word out there. But, you know, is there something within the scope of what we can do to help? I would be all in favor of that. I think it's a fabulous idea.
I don't think legally we would be allowed to just from anti-donation and our anti-donation laws of the state of New Mexico. So
I can't buy somebody to move here?
you you can as in your position, but I can't in mine. So, because our economic funds and through LEDA, which is one way around the anti-donation laws. However, it can go towards like infrastructure and those type of needs, not direct cash payments.
So what if we're incentivizing corporations who remotely work by offering them similar breaks to what we would do a retail establishment or an industrial manufacturer to say, hey, if you'll send us 5 jobs, pay your employees a bonus, and we'll give you this piece back. I mean, there's got to be a way somewhere that we can.
So the state statute ties back, Amendment number 9 of the Constitution allowed for this public investment into private organizations. And in that, in the LEDA law, it says it's land building and infrastructure, and some of that's in the amendment. It talks about that specifically. So there are some limitations on how that can be done. Although they've opened a door, my opinion, they've passed this new grant program that the state's going to give out to businesses that you can apply through the New Mexico Finance Authority, which kind of has. I've been amazed that they've legally decided. I mean, we had a conversation with the head of the New Mexico Finance Authority last week, and they've figured out a way to make that work, I guess. You know, there may be some opportunity there. I know I've seen a lot of states that are doing it. We talked to the people in Tulsa; they're doing it.
Yep.
They're providing $10,000 if they relocate. So there may be a way to look at. Is there a way we could get a statute changed like the mayor did for the retail thing to lay that or to do that, or some other avenue that could make it happen? It's the same thing. Why we do incentives for industry is we're trying to compete, and it seems to be a trend that's going on. You mentioned a lot of them that I hadn't seen. But I don't think today. I think Justin's right. Today, I don't think it's legal, but it may be something that we could brainstorm about and figure out a way that it might be done legally through the anti-donation clause. But it is hard. I mean, it seems to be Tulsa, we were on a seminar with Tulsa, and what they've done is they look for specific talent.
Yep.
And so they have people apply, and then they're lacking talent in certain areas, so they pick the ones that they need in their community and help encourage them to come, which increases their labor pool and makes it more appealing. And from their seminar, it's been a great success. They're doing it through a private foundation in Tulsa. It's being funded through that, but I think it's something we could at least explore and see if there might be an opportunity there.
Yeah, I agree, Joseph. That's really a good path for us to look down. I will tell you, in the real estate business, we're seeing all kinds of people want to move out of these big cities.
Yep.
Most of them in New Mexico are stopping in the Rio Grande Valley that are coming to New Mexico. We've had people move here from Texas just because of the property tax. We had a couple come in here from Buda, Texas, and they said, we feel like we're buying our house again because our property taxes are $700 a month, and they sold their house for over $500,000 and replaced it with a nicer house for $235,000. And they said, we drive an hour and a half to go to the doctor anyway, so it's not a big deal to go to Lubbock. And so there's some things out there along those lines that Clovis may look like a neat place to be. We had some people here 2 or 3 months ago that thought this was the greatest place that they'd ever been in their life, because in summertime when they were kid, their uncle had a farm out here, and they come out and spent 2 weeks with their uncle, and you know, they were just so excited to be able to remote work and move back to this part of, or move to this part of the country.
And what we're hoping to do, as we get all these assets built up, is market to people like through Facebook that went to Eastern or lived in Clovis or went to Clovis Community College that may be looking to get out of the Los Angeles area because of the quality, or you can't, or the driving or whatever, or the taxes. You know, so we're looking for some low-hanging fruit in this, and then obviously move forward into other things. But I think that's a great idea.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. Anything else, Chase, on your part?
I'll just go over real quick. I know it's getting late. We've had a number of projects that we're working on. We have a project from the State Economic Development Department that's called Project DAF. It's a bioenergy project. It's about a $30 to $50 million facility with about 30 permanent jobs, 100 construction jobs. We presented a response to that opportunity through the state. Clovis was picked as the only, they eliminated all the other applications and picked Clovis. We had a technical site visit, I think the week before last, had a meeting with them last week. They're trying to identify feedstock for this potential opportunity. We got them in touch with Southwest Cheese. They're working with them. They're also interested in some feedstock that comes in from West Texas potentially, and so right now they've opened the door up to maybe talking to some dairies too. At first that wasn't an opportunity, so we're going to be working with them on that. We did respond to a couple of other PROs, Project Raven, which is a food and beverage manufacturer, about a $500 million investment with 220 employees. We did submit a response. We haven't heard anything back on that from the state, whether or not we would be in the running for that. It is it does have a large water requirement. It's like, I guess it sounds like it's like a Southwest Canners that used to be in Portales, where they bottle beverages and ship them out. We had a couple of projects. This one, Project Moon, was an aerospace and satellite company. We've had a couple of those from the state that we've responded to. We get creative, and obviously they were looking at some existing buildings, so we found a couple that would work, and we presented everything that we can to make it happen. And obviously there's some skills here with Canon from retirees and things that would tie into that, so we promoted that. And there's also some licensing and testing facilities they were interested in, and we did find a certified site in Lubbock at Reese Air Force Base that could meet that need of their requirement within 2 hours. So we presented that. We did respond to another advanced technology 3D printing manufacturer. It's called Project Yellow Jacket, and we did receive word back that the company has decided to look at other states because the responses that they got from this state did not meet the need. Excuse me. We've been working with the warehouse and distribution company that's looking at constructing a 10,000 square foot facility. They have put their earnest money down and have picked a site. They're working on their final drawings and site layout, and they're hoping to start, I would say, in the next 2 months. It was originally they were going to try to start in April, but things have kind of got delayed. David Petty, that helped us with our Cummins building, is going to be their general contractor, so he's working with them and working with the city. I'd like to thank Pete Wilt. Has been awesome. We've worked with him on the details of the permitting and what they have to have and what they don't have to have, and work with the building department. And that's a great asset. I think that's one of our biggest assets that we have, is our ability to do the permitting and the inspections and do it quickly, this community. And we promote that because a lot of communities have to wait on the state, and others it delays the project. So we're very fortunate to have what Justin and the mayor and what the staff have set up to bring to. So we bring prospects in, and we can say, hey, we can do this. We can get a permit within 30 to 45 days. We can, we can make it happen and not have the delays. We've also had a company that we've been working with that's a company out of Canada that wants to do a renewable energy project potentially. We provided some site location to them. It's a little bit smaller project than the other one, $200 million project with potentially 20 jobs. And so we've had some interest in that. Solar manufacturing project. We have a startup company that was here in Clovis, went to Santa Fe, did some technology development through Santa Fe Community College, They are looking at a site to manufacture and assemble solar panels, and we've worked with them to find a site. So they found an existing building wanted to purchase. They've got a verbal agreement with the company, and they're working to get their financing together and to try to make that happen. And that's been going on probably 8 months or so, 10 months. We did have a meeting with the State Economic Development Department last week, 2 weeks ago. They have not been able to travel since COVID, and they are opening it back up. So we did have our representative here in town, and we visited about project updates, and obviously went and looked at a couple of sites that we're looking at, and so we're seeing things open back up. We're still working with Apex Wind Energy. They are a company that's going to build a 298 megawatt solar farm out by Grady. In this project, they've finally got their right-of-way finalized, and they're waiting on the PRC and some other interconnect agreements. This project also is looking at potentially a solar project in the community that we've been working with them, and things kind of slowed down with COVID, but they're picking back up on that. The governor, during the legislative session, signed a law called community solar law that has brought some interest into, I think, all the state. We've had 2 companies that have come and visited with us. I know the mayor and Justin were on one call, and then we had another company that's from New York, Maryland area. They're looking at putting in pre-proposals to provide community solar into the community through the Excel system. And so we've provided maps and solar areas where solar might be available, where sites might be available close to substations. So we continue to work on that. Southwest Cheese, we got money from the state when they did their 3rd expansion, and there was an intergovernmental agreement that was done. They had a 5-year performance on the state, and we submitted their final report, and everything's finalized on that. They met and exceeded all of their requirements on that. We've been talking to HTO, the new facility over by Hilliard Chiropractic. They've called. That's one of the retail companies that are looking for opportunities because of increased cost in construction. So they were asking if Clovis had any incentives that they could offer to help them with that project. I did tell them that it would be a while because first the law is going to come into effect, and then we've got to get all our ordinances passed and the voters to approve and all of that. But there is interest that is in retail that's coming, and we're seeing more and more of that. We are seeing a lot of cannabis companies that are looking at Clovis. I know that at least we've talked to 4 potential partners. One of them is the largest. They own the largest facility in Colorado. And they're looking at trying to grow in this state and then open up facilities. So you're going to see a lot of that activity as the state develops those plans. So I think by next April, they'll have that open. My understanding is cities can't exempt themselves out of it, but you could zone it potentially. So we're answering, questioning, and learning, and as I think all of us are on that. And I think that's kind of a general overview.
Thank you, Chase. I'll comment on our permitting process here. I helped put the pilot truck stop deal together, and they got their permit and built and opened their facility before they got their permit done in Santa Fe. They completely did the project, and they said Clovis was just amazing to work with, and we appreciate that and what you guys do. That really helps us to brag about that. For the good of the order, Raymond?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just curious, Chase, Southwest Cheese, how many employees do they have now? About 409?
They're running around 450.
450 now? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and they were up at one point to 470.
Okay.
That's where they're right now.
Thank you. Just wanted to give a quick update on the urgent job fair that was just recently held, and Rachel Forrester was a huge help on that with us, the chamber. the city, were our partners, Workforce Solutions, Clovis Industrial Development Corporation, and of course, Eastern Plains Council of Governments was the lead on that. We had, I believe, 48 businesses that registered. Rachel right now is sending a survey to all the employers that got a booth there or a table, so we can have follow-up to see what happened, how many hirees and so forth. We had 440 total attending that signed up through the door. Compared to 2018, the most we've had was 380. And so that was great. We had 8 military spouses and dependents, 17 veterans, 94 students. That was the most students we've ever had applying for positions, 5 retirees, and 312 general public. And we had 2 interview tables, round tables of 8. We ended up putting out 2 more, application tables. We ended up having to put 2 more application tables because they were so full of people filling out applications. We had 4 interview rooms set up that were private with the curtains. Those 4 rooms, Mr. Chairman and Mayor, were completely full all the time. People were waiting to be interviewed. McDonald's hired people on the spot, like 8 or 10 employees. We figured about, based on the businesses that we went around talking to right quick to try to get a general idea, about 45 were hired on the spot. There was a company offering $5,000 sign-in bonus, and they found a person with a CDL, well qualified, and they hired him on the spot and offered him a bonus. So I think it was very successful. We had advertisement in all the radio stations. We also reached out, and we have advertisement in Pandora. That was very important in the Clovis newspaper. So I think it was a huge success. I'm curious to see what the survey will look like once we get that, and then we'll put out an analysis report on that.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mondragon. I've got a question, Mayor, on did Retail Strategies say our trade area was, or the population of our trade area? Do you remember?
They estimated it at 79,000.
Okay.
And then I challenged them on that a little bit and asked, do you have Cannon Air Force Base in there? And we've I think we've kicked that back and forth. Did we get a definitive answer from them on?
I'm not sure if we've gotten a definitive answer on that particular question, but another thing that they're putting together is a brochure for us that once that's finalized, we'll be pushing that out to obviously all of our realtors in the area, commercial and real estate, and blanketing that to where you have that as a tool for when in your own personal businesses to utilize as well.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if have you seen their presentation that they gave to like the Chamber Retail Committee, and so that trade area is it's not what I thought it would be. I thought we'd have like a 90-mile radius just circle. It's real real jagged, and it's interesting how they arrived at that. But again, I think they stated it at 79,000. When I talk about it, I just round up to 100. I don't know about you.
Well, we're very optimistic in Clovis.
Well, didn't Site Southwest on that map did a trade area of about 125,000?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chairman, but when different folks are analyzing a trade area with different objectives, they were analyzing a retail trade area and arrived at what they did. But yeah, while I have the microphone, and I know we're past time, I just wanted to say thanks to Chase for the update and for all the stuff that you're working on. Thank you, and I love the videos, Rachel, and the work that you're doing. When we think about our community and how we may grow, I think that Mr. Blaschke and Mr. Chairman, I think you both hit on like really great points. I mean, those are the ways that we need to think. I think we have the opportunity to capture some of that exodus from the metro areas, and promoting our assets is how we're going to catch that stuff. So those videos that Rachel and CIDC are working on are right on. So thank you for doing those things. And when I talk about our community, I've started telling people that because of what we have going on with gig internet and the fact that we have daily flights out of our backyard to an international airport. I tell people that we have a low cost of living and high quality of life.
Okay.
And I think that's the selling point that we're working on there. Thanks.
Okay, and so I just want to add to that, and I know you guys have all been aware of this, but Banderas has brought amazing things to our Main Street. And guys, this could be huge for Clovis. I mean, with the trade area that we've got of 79,000, and with the cannabis legislation, like it or not, there's lots of Texans that smoke weed, and they're going to be coming over here. And if we've got a place for them to get a beer and go to the next place and get some entertainment, I'm telling you, this Main Street could blow the area up. And now that we have some retail going in, it's or we have possibility to aid retail, there may be some things that we can do. One thing I've talked to on some of these bigger companies that they don't like about downtown is the parking. And so that may be something that we want to address in any of these. I mean, we have quite a bit of public parking, but we maybe need to in a presentation show people what that means, because parking is everything. That the building there at 5th and across from Bandolera, 5th and Main, I mean, what a great parking lot that would make if we could ever get something done on that. But let's stay focused on what's going on in downtown. I think it can be a huge driver for our community. Thank you, everyone. Welcome all the new members. We're glad you're with us. And something I want to say is that as we have these meetings, sometimes projects fit the box, but just because they fit the box does not mean that we have to support them. We're not just making sure it fits in the box. We all have a mind, and we all have to think about how this is going to affect our community and the people. And now with retail are the people that have made an investment in Clovis. And so, with that said, I stand to adjourn, and I appreciate it, everybody.